We're back here on the Now Morning Show, and we've been seeking to answer the question every week since the COVID 19 pandemic started: can we feed ourselves? Here to discuss the processed foods and how we can limit the amount of it in our diet is food technologist at NAMDEVCO, Miss Anne-Marie Gaja de Sedeno. Welcome.
Thank you, Carrie. Thanks
Good
for having
morning.
me.
Thank you for being with us again. And, just to start off, we want to get a definition of what are processed foods.
Okay, so simply processed foods are foods that have undergone some form of transformation from its original state. And that could take different forms. You could have minimally processed foods where you simply maybe wash, sanitize, drain, package, chill, or freeze the food. And you can have further processed foods where the food may have undergone further transformation in terms of the processes that it goes through, and maybe added ingredients may have been added to the food to make it last longer, taste better, or for convenience.
So, what are some of the examples of processed foods we may have in our daily routine?
Yeah, those are processed foods that we may have in our routine. But the concern that we have with processed foods are not the minimally processed foods, let's say your frozen cassava logs, but the ones that are further processed where the nutritive value may have been compromised.
What are some
And
examples of
where
that?
added ingredients such as sugar, salt, and fat may have been added, and those could contribute to your lifestyle diseases like diabetes, hypertension, and heart disease. Those are the ones we want to pay attention to.
Definitely. What are some examples of those dangerous types that you mentioned that we should probably avoid?
Okay, so you have your condiments, things that do offer a lot of nutritive value. They are high in fat, high in salt, sugar. So your processed foods, your snacks, your baked goods, a lot of convenience foods actually that have a long shelf life. A lot of times when you look at the labels, you would see the nutritive content in it, and it a lot of times is high in fat or sugar and salt, and those are the ones that you want to look out for. So you really have to learn to read your labels. That's how you're going to know the ones that you want to avoid.
What are you looking for on the labels exactly?
So, sorry, Carrie, can you just repeat?
What are you looking for on the labels? You said to read the labels, but what should the consumer look for on the
Oh, okay,
labels?
great. So you want to look at your total calories, so the caloric intake, your total fat, your saturated fat,
Right.
your sodium intake, and your sugar intake. You want to look at what percentage of your daily value that food is contributing. And when you see figures that are in excess of 3 or 5%, you need to be wary because it's sometimes so easy to overeat, especially when you're snacking on foods. You
Right.
don't realize sometimes how much you're putting into your body, and also how many servings are in a portion or a container or a pack. Sometimes you may be consuming 2 or 3 or 4 servings very readily, sitting in front of the TV and not realizing how much you're really intaking in terms of your
Yeah.
processed foods and your sugar and your fat and your sodium content.
So, what do these processed foods do to the body, the human body?
Yeah, definitely. Again, they're related to a lot of lifestyle diseases I mentioned earlier, like your diabetes, your hypertension. And all of them are preventable. They're plaguing the country, but they're preventable. So it really comes back to how we plan meals or what we put into the body. We need to be more aware of what these foods are, what they're doing to our body, and how we can make changes to limit the intake of the processed foods.
All right. Well, give us some guidelines for a diet when it comes to processed foods. What should we? What's some of the steps that we should be taking? What should we be doing?
I think it calls for a slight shift in how we plan meals. You want to plan meals ahead of time and particularly before shopping. That is key. You've often heard the recommendation to include more fruit and vegetable in your diet, but you want to really break that down. What does that mean for us? You want to start with, let's say, breakfast. You maybe have been accustomed having 2 slices of bread, 2 quarters of cider roti or bake, perhaps, maybe a side order and a cup of tea with that. You want to consider cutting that down, cutting that carbohydrate content down, and maybe including a serving of fruit in there. When you're hungry, include a fruit instead of a processed snack. You want to shop and have your fruits and your vegetables readily available. Put it on your countertop, put it in your refrigerator where you can see, where the children can see to grab and go. Because what you have around is what you're going to include. Another way to include your fresh fruit and vegetable, your heavier meals, you want to look at including a fresh salad or minimally
Okay.
processed vegetables in there every time you have a large meal. And it follows something they call the healthy eating plate concept, taken from the Harvard University, the Department of Nutrition. And it speaks to having half of your plate be fresh fruits and vegetables. The other portion should be whole grains and your proteins. And you have so many readily available fruits and vegetables in your market that you could put together a salad very easily. Your watercress, your lettuce, your cucumbers, your tomatoes, your Swiss chard, your sweet peppers. So all of these can help to make that fresh, colorful salad on the side while you're planning your meal. Another way to limit your processed foods, you want to look at probably substituting rice, your pasta, and your flour-based foods with a carbohydrate, your root crops that are so readily available at our markets.
Right.
Your dasheen, your cassava, your yam, your eddos, and your tanya. They're readily available. They're a great source of carbohydrate in your diet, and they keep you feeling satisfied for longer. Yams, in particular, are really good in terms of not producing that spike in the blood sugar level. It has a what we call a low glycemic index level. So if you're diabetic, yams are a great addition to the diet. So include your root crops as part of your carbohydrate content of your diet. That's another great way to save money, to feel satisfied longer, and to include fiber and carbohydrates in your diet at the same time. You want to make sure that your meals are colorful, the colors of the rainbow. Shop bearing it in mind. Your reds, your red fruits and vegetables, your watermelon, your tomatoes, full of lycopene and anthocyanins, very good for health. Your orange and your yellow vegetables, your citrus, high in vitamin C, your papaya, pineapple, your squash and your pumpkin, they're loaded with vitamin C, carotenoids, and beta carotene. Your green vegetables, full of vitamin K, great for bone health. Your Swiss chard, your kale, spinach, dashing bush. You could get a bottle of dashing bush leaves in the farmer's market for just $5. Your purple and your blue vegetables, your melange, pineapple, again, rich in anthocyanins. Your white fruits and vegetables, although not technically a color of the rainbow, they have their own anthocyanins and great benefits like your cucumbers and your cauliflower. So when you're shopping, you want to bear those colors of your rainbow in mind because each of them bring with it its own set of benefits for good health, supported immune system, and for fighting off disease. You also want to limit your condiments as much as possible. A lot of the condiments we tend to use in cooking, your mustard and your ketchup and so on, these things have a lot of sugar. They have a lot of acid in them to give them that long shelf life. They don't add to good health when they're used in large amounts over a prolonged period of time. So you want to limit those. Use fresh tomatoes instead in your stews instead of ketchup. You want to look at the water. In a time like this, it's very hot these days. You want to choose water and want natural juices. Read your labels. A lot of the juices that we have on the market aren't really juices. They have a lot of sugar. They're not natural. They have very little fruit content in them. And we
Right.
want to take advantage of the fruits that we have readily available. Your watermelon, your papaya, your pineapple can make a great drink. Just crush up your pineapple, you blend up maybe a cup with a cup of water and some crushed ice, squeeze a bit of lemon in there, have those fruit drinks readily available for your family. Keep it in your refrigerator where they can see it. So that's what they choose. If you choose soda, you buy soda and high sugar juices and you have that around, that's what your family is going to want to
Right.
choose.
Yeah.
So you have to put things that are nutritious around, surround them, and it's a great way of adding nutrition without that added sugar because your fruits
Exactly.
provide that natural sweetness to it. Um, so all of these tips together, you want to bear in mind when you're doing meal planning. Money is very critical these days. Everybody is looking at every cent. So you want to use that money wisely. Instead of buying baked goods or processed foods or a cake and put it into the refrigerator outside of special occasions, have fruits and vegetables around ready for use for your family on the countertops and in the refrigerator where they can see it. Because if they see fresh or that's what is available, that is what they will eat. So you're bringing better nutrition to your family and to yourself as well. So those are some of the ways you want to limit your processed foods. You have to
Definitely.
buy the fresh fruits and vegetables. That is what you want to surround your family and yourself with. Because
So a
what you
big
buy, that is what you're going to eat when you come home.
a big takeaway from all that you were saying, aside from the tips, is to use local produce and to get stuff
Oh
from.
yes.
And you drew reference to the farmers market. Tell us
Oh
about
yes.
Namdevco's farmers markets.
Okay, great. So we have 9 farmers markets countrywide. And one of the benefits, or some of the benefits of purchasing from our farmers markets, is that farmers are the ones that sell directly to the customers, shortening that food chain, which results in fresher commodities coming to you.
Right.
Also, the produce from which the farms come from are monitored by our trained field officers as part of our farm certification and monitoring program. So this offers a greater level of assurance of the safety of the foods that you're consuming with respect to the presence of pesticides, your contamination and pests and disease. So that is a major, or those are some of the major benefits that you can benefit from when you shop at the farmers markets. You don't have to worry about that too much. We have persons in place to monitor these farms, so you're guaranteed to a certain extent of the level of freshness and the safety of these foods. We have well qualified trained persons who are in charge of making sure that the food is safe.
Definitely. And in this time as well, um, another takeaway from what you were saying is that it is more cost efficient to buy from the
Or
farmers
def
markets
or
as well.
definitely, and you just want to take advantage of what is in season, what is readily available. When you go into the markets, as I said earlier, you can get a small bundle of dashing bush leaves, a small heap of okras for simply just $5. So if you have
Right.
limited spending for food purchases, the market is a great place to go to get value for money. And again, shop with the colors of the rainbow in mind. It's nutrition. Each of the colors of the rainbow represent its own set of nutritive value for good health and for a better you and for a healthier family, especially in times like these.
So with that, I want to thank you for joining us, Miss Anne-Marie Gaja de
You're
Sideno,
very
food
welcome. Thank you for
technologist
having me.
at NAMDevco. We take a short break and come back with more. I want to thank you again for joining us this morning, giving us all those helpful tips on how to eat healthily, avoid the processed foods, and of course to save some money when it comes to buying produce. Because again, in these times, it's so critical to ensure that you track your spending because not everyone is able to go out to work right now and really earn that income and have the same level of income that is coming in. So again, these are all tips and guidelines that you can follow to help, well, one, keep yourself and your family healthy, two, to track your spending and to budget properly, and three, to, continue to support all local industry when it comes to agriculture and such. So with that, I want to thank her again. That's Anne-Marie Gajas de Sedeno for joining us this morning. And now we're going to take a short break and come back with much more. Stay with us.